What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the review and discussion for UnOrdinary. This time we're talking about episode 255. Now, to get this out of the way for you guys, unfortunately, episode 255 is the first 55 chapter of, episode 55, episode 155. It's the first 55 chapter without a major fight. I know, I was kind of sad too. I mean, episode 55, we got to finally see John in action. We saw him take down Ventus in melee, immediately followed by Arlo versus John as well. Episode 155, freaking cleaning house with Remy and Arlo. Easy money, easy clap. Unfortunately, there is no fight or anything in episode 255. But episode 255 does still keep up the tradition, as I'm calling it, with big information happening and like major story things happening. Like I said, episode 55, with that, we got a look at how strong John actually is. That was a pretty big reveal right there. We had known previously before episode 55 that John clearly had an ability but was suppressing it, and we knew he was fairly strong, but in that episode we were revealed how strong he actually is. And not even then we weren't revealed how strong he was. We just knew, like, oh snap, like, this is John. Episode 155 was Sarah finding out about John's ability, and also John officially dethroning all the Wellston royals. Now, with that being said, episode 255, like I said, definitely doesn't disappoint in the information department either. Now, let's go ahead and jump into this information right here for you guys. So, it starts out at 7:30 a.m. It starts out at 7:30 a.m. at the Next Gen facility in Arkwood, or maybe it's called Next Gen Facility Arkwood. I don't think that they're actually in a different city, but it was just labeled Next Gen Facility Arkwood. Anyway, so the surveillance woman, she gets out of the van, and she just says, like, hey, like, it's gonna take me about, I believe she said, about 15 minutes to get surveillance set up and everything. So she gets out of the van. Now, while she's setting that up, we then see so while she's getting everything set up over there, we see Sarah sitting next to a guy with blue hair. He's the communications guy. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I was actually kind of expecting, like, like little earpieces or something like that, the glasses or whatever. But I was like, no, but I honestly I didn't expect this. And I really don't know why I didn't, because we don't really we're starting to see more creative, not really battle focused abilities as of late. Anyway, he uses his ability to set it up with her. So he basically just kind of touches Seraphina's forehead, and there's a glow between the two of them, and he's basically used it to communicate telepathically with Seraphina. And he does also mention the farther Sarah is from him, the more taxing it will be on him. She has to focus mostly on maintaining their connection, and they have to keep messages short. And Sarah just replies that with just got it. She doesn't ask for an explanation. She doesn't ask for anything. She just says, I understand. Keeping the messages short. Good on Seraphina. Now, it's actually interesting that he brought this up, because I was also thinking, Sarah, he's in the parking lot. Sarah's in the building. That's a pretty fair distance already. That's farther than John's aura I believe John's aura can sense. We don't know the exact full details of John's aura yet, but I was thinking about it, and I remember that Sarah had to go to not only was she a fair distance from him, she's going to be fairly above and below him because she has to go to the 6th floor of this next gen facility and also the 2nd basement level. So and real quick right off the bat, as soon as I thought about that later in the chapter, we do also see I don't think that the communications are going to be, I don't think the distance is actually too severe, because later on we do see the communication guy and he doesn't seem to be too strained at all. So I'm thinking he's probably somewhere in the elite tier, maybe higher, maybe a little bit higher up, kind of like Caden, the guy with teleportation, because he didn't seem too strained all that much. Anyway, so after that, Sarah goes inside of the facility and she meets up with the last member of her team from Spectre. She meets with Stacy, a planted next-gen employee working for Spectre. She just has green hair, glasses. She's got a little mole on her right side too. And they meet at the front desk, and then Sarah mentions to the desk agent that she doesn't have her phone on her. That's going to come back later. She doesn't have her phone on her, and the guy just lets her go. He gives her a visitor pass and everything. She walks with Stacy, and as she's walking, she notices the first room that she's going to need to go to. She is on the 6th floor at that moment in time. So she's at the 6th floor because it matches up with the 6th floor plans that she had, and because Sarah was even picturing out what the layout was later in the episode when she had to figure out everything. Anyway, so they go into a meeting room that Stacy had reserved, and Stacy informs her that there are no cameras inside the room, but there's aura sensors. Aura sensors, guys. And if her ability is active for longer than 5 seconds, alarms will sound. Now that's tricky. That's tricky. So, in order to get in, Sarah is going to need to enter after Dr. Kelly opens the door. She's going to have 3 seconds to do that. Now, Dr. Kelly is just kind of this normal scientist-looking guy. He has green hair. You know, he just looks old. He doesn't look old. He looks like middle-aged. He looks kind of like Keon, if I'm being honest, in the face department, but a little more tired. But yeah. So... yeah. So Dr. Kelly is the one who is scheduled to be in that room specifically. So Stacy asks Sarah, like, hey, you got 3 seconds. Can you do it? And Sarah's just like, I can do it. No problem. Now, this is where the chapter really starts to kind of ramp things up. And at first, when I read this the first time, I actually was kind of disappointed. But reading it again a few more times, I realized just how well paced and written this chapter actually was. So anyway, we meet back at Rowden with everyone at the safe house. It's 8:15 a.m. and everyone's downtown. And Blyke is just preparing a bag and everything. And he mentions to everyone that they need to be ready to split up. And that catches Arlo off guard. He asks Remy, like, wait, why are we splitting up? And Remy says some people wanted to go hiking and some people wanted to see downtown. Some people wanted to go downtown. And Arlo even thinks to him, and Arlo even, like, says quietly, like, wait a minute, like, we're not all just staying downtown. That's all anyone was talking about. And yeah, Remy mentions then that some people just wanted to go hiking, and Arlo would have known if he wasn't skipping meetings, after school meetings with the safe house. And at first, I thought that was just kind of like a roast at Arlo, because Arlo doesn't really care. He's just feigning interest because, you know, he has to have Seraphina's back. And so I thought that was just a dig at Arlo, but that was actually really important setup for what's to come. Now, getting to that in a moment. So, they're aware that the group is now splitting up. And John even walks up to Arlo and he says, like, hey, maybe we should let Sarah know that we're splitting up. And he tries calling her clearly, but Sarah doesn't have her phone on her, so she doesn't answer. And John is Arlo, and John and Arlo is just like, she's probably still busy right now. Remy then actually looks up because she goes over to help Blythe because he asked for help real quick. And she looks over to the two of them and she notices that they've been unusually friendly as of late with each other. And like I said in the reaction, that's actually really smart of Remy because John and Arlo aren't friends. They're not. They shouldn't be friends. For all they know, they can't, for all she knows, they can't stand each other. And Remy has noticed strange things in Arlo. She's noticed that Arlo voted for John to come on the safe house trip. She's probably seen the two of them closer together and everything. Arlo defended John when Blythe ran away. She's like, he stopped her from going, like, they need to settle this themselves. So that brings up the question, is Arlo going to let Remy know what's going on? Now, with the split, I'll talk about this in a second, actually. Let's continue. So Blythe is getting ready to hang out, and he mentions that it was a lot less than he was expecting. Again, going back to what's happening. Going back to, he was expecting a lot more people because, again, half of the club voted for hiking. It was exactly half. And Remy brings up, like, hey, like, you know, maybe some people just change their mind. And Blythe says, isn't that a bit too drastic for that many people to change their mind? And when Blythe says this, Arlo and John exchange looks again, just like they did at the end of the last episode, when Sarah says, like, hey, I appreciate the two of you coming. Like, they look at each other again like, So, Arlo suggests then keeping the group together. But Blythe, he just says, like, hey, it's going to be fine. Like, don't worry. Like, I don't mind going. And plus, we already have a trail reserved. And then John, once again, my man, swallows his pride. And he goes over to Blythe, like, hey, is it cool if I join you? And Blythe, making progress. You know, he realizes John's trying. Like, I definitely think episode 250 and 51 definitely helped their relationship. 252 especially, as well. Because Blythe says that should be fine. Yeah, like that's fine. Don't worry. So progress where progress is due. That was awesome to see. Anyway, with John going on the hike, a few other safe house kids notice. Evie makes note of that, and Evie's just like, hey, like why don't we join them? Like, we'll go on a hike instead. Like, that'll be fun. And she gets Roland, Dylan, and Terrence in on the hike as well. And so, last call, John is sticking with Blythe, just like he said. Ison's also going as well. That's important to take note of. And Arlo is sticking with Remy. Now, before John gets on the bus, he looks back at Arlo, and Arlo, once again, just arms folded and everything, just kind of, you can tell he's contemplating everything just from his expression alone, and his text bubble, which is just the usual ... Now, let's talk about this. Now. So, is Arlo gonna tell Remy what's up? I definitely feel like Remy is gonna make it a point to ask Arlo in the next chapter, hey, like, why have you been so friendly with John, like, lately? Like, you guys hate each other. Like, you guys do, Arlo. You guys can't stand one another. Like, even though they're working together to help Sarah, John still doesn't consider Arlo a friend. John doesn't want to share a bed with Arlo. And so, you know, is Arlo going to tell Remy what's up? Because from what we've seen, Remy has no clue what's going on. She thinks it's kind of weird that, you know, Arlo suddenly decided to come on the trip. She thinks it's a little strange, but she's glad that John's putting an effort to join the safe house and everything and to become a better person. But Remy doesn't actually know what's going on. Blythe has a slight idea because John said, like, I need to get on this trip because I think something's going to happen. Ison, I feel, probably knows the most, even though it's still not that much, because he was working with Sarah and Arlo in this stuff for a little bit. He's aware that Terrence is a suspicious character that they need to keep an eye out on. So Ison knows a fair little bit. But Remy has no clue what's going on. And so I wonder, and also Arlo told John about what happened about everything. He brought John up to speed after seeing that John put everything together himself. Put a lot together himself, not everything. So I think Arlo is going to kind of make an executive decision and tell Remy, like, hey, like, this is what's going on. Especially considering what happens later. Now, I'm gonna come back to that. But first, let's get back to the rest. Now, we meet back with Sarah at her mission. By the time we get back to Sarah, it is 8:29. So almost a full hour has passed from the last time we saw her. Or no, since she arrived to this facility. Now, Sarah changes into an outfit. She got drip. She got like a spy catsuit thing kind of going on. The way it's like black, clearly. But it also has like some purple decaling on it and everything. Real talk, it kind of reminds me of the Black Panther suit from the movies mixed with like a ninja, because she has like a hood and everything too. And yo, my girl got mad drip. She looks badass. Like Uru. Like, give us a really cool poster of Sarah in the catsuit doing some cool shit with her ability. Like, that's drip. I need Ninja Sarah more. Anyway, so back in the van, Rowden and the blue hair guy, they inform her that Kelly has begun to enter the room, and she's got 3 seconds, but like a bad bitch, Sarah uses her ability. And I also thought, yo, Sarah's got to be quick. So like, I'm hoping that, like, she's not gonna strain herself or something, because like, yo, that's crazy right there. But no hesitation whatsoever, no need to worry, because Sarah gets work done. She enters the room, knocks Kelly out on the floor, and no problem. And I was thinking when I read this, like, is like, are we sure that he's down? Are we sure he's gonna stay down? Because like, Sarah's strong, I know, but like, yo, did she really? But then I remembered Sarah has one-shot people with their abilities active. Kelly had no idea she was to expect her. He had nothing. So I'm 99% positive. No ability activation, no defense whatsoever on his part. He's out. He's out cold. Now, a quick note that I want to point out. I said earlier that blue hair didn't look too worn out with the ability or anything. Now, I say that because when we do come back to him, when we do see him later in the van, when he alerts Sarah and everything, when he gets the confirmation that Sarah's in the room, we do see a single bead of sweat pouring down from him. So like I said, I think, this, and also we have to keep in mind his ability has been active for around an hour. He set it up with Sarah close at 7:30. It's now 8:29, so he's had his ability active for an hour. So like I said, I think that lends credence to him being a higher elite tier, maybe even possibly a high tier if we're being honest. Because, Caden, using Caden as a reference, because I feel this is kind of the closest thing. But Ison has had his ability active for a fair bit before. John's had his ability active for a fair bit before. I don't know. Maybe these more like passive use, well, not passive ability uses, but like, like abilities like Ison's Hunter, where he's just using it to like scan around. This kind of thing, to keep a telepathic connection. Maybe those aren't as taxing until like Ison, starts doing his attacks and everything. Anyway, point is, so I think blue hair, like, I'm not concerned about like, him being weak or him getting too strained, unless Sarah, does something. Get to that in a moment though. Now, once inside, Sarah, Stacy handed her a flash drive to plug into one of the computers. So she plugs it in, she gets access to the computer and begins downloading the files on conversion technology. Now, when she does that, there are also some other files in there as well, though. So, the file chain goes, like, like when you're on your computer, like, you know, you click in different folders and it has like the backlog of like where this was and where it came from. So it goes next gen, boom, research and development. Next, Project E, Project Ember, most likely. I say that because the next part is Phase 2. Now, in the Phase 2, the reason why I say, you know, this is probably Project Ember is because in Phase 2, we see 3 more folders. Ability Research, Amplification Technology, and Conversion Technology. Now, unfortunately, we don't give a shit about Amplification Technology. We don't give a shit about Ability Research. Sarah's here for Conversion Technology. So she then clicks into Conversion Technology, and we see more folders. And this is why I'm saying this chapter was major information drops. We had files to go through. So the files go Aura Sensory, probably what helped develop the Aura sensors in the room currently. And also, you know, John's passive Aura sensing. Channel output, I can't really think of what, you know, I think that's just basic ability stuff. Data analysis, research, subjects like Valerie, like, you know, Vulcan, because clearly she's got different abilities going on. She's been using different abilities. She ain't using no barrier. Anyway, now, so no one's really brought this up, but I just thought to mention this real quick. This is the conversion folder, not the amplification folder. So this is the subjects folder. So I don't think that, and again, we don't see anything about the subjects folder. Like maybe we might in the next episode, but like Sarah doesn't click on any folders. Well, in the conversion technology, like she just goes to conversion technology and starts downloading things. She doesn't look, but this is the conversion folder, not amplification. So I don't think that we're going to see people like Waldo or Alana or the guys that Blake fought. I don't think we're going to be seeing them in this folder at all. I think it's much more likely that, you know, they could be in amplification technology. I do think it's possible that Valerie Vulcan is in this folder because she could be a subject for, you know, this because, you know, she's clearly using different abilities and stuff. But people were saying that this was a possibility. People were saying we might see her herself. I was saying, yo, I think it's more likely, like, you know, we get some information on her in the conversion technology stuff, research. Patient Jane. We don't see it. There's no mention of it. Sarah doesn't ask questions, but we see it. We see that folder is there. We see it. We see Patient Jane, and it's the very same Jane from episode 234. The one that Simon told William that he finally found her. Now, Sarah, like I said, Sarah begins extracting the information. It's going to take about 21 minutes, and she says, now we wait. Now, one thing I want to note with Sarah. The sensors say that the ability needs to be activated for no longer than 5 seconds. Now, Sarah's not using her ability, but there is an ability active on Sarah. She has that link with blue hair. She has that link. His ability is active on her. So, you know, if they start talking or something, I think it's possible that could cause some complications, you know? Or if they've already caught on because the ability is activated and they're silent, you know, maybe it's a silent alarm that gets alerted. But yeah, I just thought that, like, you know, Sarah's not using her ability in this room, but there is an ability active on her currently. So I'm thinking it's possible that could also cause some complications. Now, that's the end of Sarah's bit for episode 255. We then, before the chapter ends, we then reconvene with Arlo and Remy in downtown, and he begins to thinking to himself that the votes for the activities in Rowden didn't reflect what everyone wanted. He's, like I said, Arlo's starting to piece everything together. And then we cut to John on the bus with Dylan next to him, and John's just kind of looking out the window with his normal, his normal expression is kind of like, And Arlo, and then the last line we see is Arlo thinking something isn't right. And Arlo's right. Something isn't right. Because back in episode 237, I think it's fair to say Terrence tampered with the votes. While everyone was celebrating Blake becoming king and getting nominated and everything, eating the cake, we saw Terrence look at the ballot box for the activities and everything. The next shot is Remy discussing with Blake. And Ison that the votes were even for hiking and staying downtown, which she wasn't expecting. Now, like I said, Terrence tampered with the votes for a reason. So I think it's definitely possible. And also, this is after Terrence telling Sarah, hey, we're not the bad guys. Like, you don't need to worry about us. And like, I'm going to be honest. I'm pissed. I'm pissed that even for the slightest second, I trusted this little asshole. Because I was like, you know what? Maybe Terrence is right. Like, maybe he's not trying to, like, maybe Terrence is just a suspicious guy. But he tampered with the votes for a reason. He had to do it. He had to get them separated. He had to do something. He had to figure something out. And I was going to talk about this alone. I was going to talk about this last episode, but I decided to save it for this episode. The mission being unusually careless of Spectre. Now, could it be that they're going to try to do something? They're going to put their plan to tamper with Remy or Blake? Due to Sarah letting John stay. Like, are they making a move? We know that Spectre doesn't like Arlo. They definitely don't like John. They do like Remy, and they're unsure about Blake and Ison. And this leads into my next point. Everyone is separated. Everyone's not alone except for Sarah, but everyone's been separated. I've been saying for the longest time, the groups finally together. The groups together. All 6 main characters are here, but now they've been separated into groups, and Sarah's on her own. Now, let's look at the groups. We have John, Blake, and Ison taking care of one group, taking care of a lot of low tiers, including Terrence, who may or may not be a mid tier. Now, that's the current full-on strongest person that they have, John, and the 2 bottom of the top, Ison and Blake. Blake is a high tier now, but compared to everyone else, he still has a bit of a way to go. So that's the strongest character and the bottom of the top, and the 2 weakest characters of the main cast. We have Arlo and Remy in charge of the rest of the safe house. That's the 3rd strongest character and the mid strongest character, the 4th strongest character. So that's the 2 middle characters together. And plus, they also have a healer with them as well. And then we have Sarah, the strongest, but she's handicapped at the moment. So, Spectre is planning something. Whether that's targeting Remy, whether that's trying to get rid of Arlo, remember that whether it's recruiting Remy or Blake, something is going to happen. Something's going to happen. Now, real quick, I do want to play the devil's advocate for Terrence. I do want to play the devil's advocate for him because we have to take into account Terrence did that. Terrence tampered with the votes before seeing John's change. Before everyone has seen John making an effort. But also, Terrence knows that John is onto him. Terrence knows that John doesn't like him, kind of. Terrence did this after seeing Blake's change. After seeing Blake, make an effort to do better. He did this immediately after he saw Blake become king. And also, he didn't really object or anything to joining John or Blake on the hike to stay with Remy if she's the target. And also, he did seem really impressed with John's triumph over the Rowden Royals, at dinner when Dylan was explaining the whole thing. So I think it is actually possible that, something good could come out of this, but knowing some sides of Spectre that we do know, I think it's also possible that things could go horribly wrong. Who knows? And also, one thing I want to point out as well, gonna give him props when props is due. Arlo is the one who was piecing everything together. Not really John so much. I think John may have been piecing things together at the end when he's kind of, by himself in his thoughts. He has to think for himself. We know that John can piece things together. We know that John isn't dumb. Like, he figured everything out about Terrence. Anyway, Arlo is the one piecing everything together. Throughout the chapter, it's Arlo who's, thinking everything through. It's Arlo who's thinking how strange it is that, no one wanted to go hiking, even though half the club said that they wanted to. He's the one who's been piecing everything together. So, props where props are due. Good on you, Arlo. Now, closing thoughts. I'm going to be honest. I know I've been saying this a lot lately, but I honestly do feel this is the most important chapter to date. So much has been set up. So much information was given to us. Clearly, we still have, little threads, little loose ends at the moment. But this is an important chapter, and this is clearly going to lead to something massive. Now, are we gonna have a three-way separate fights? Arlo and Remy taking care of someone from Spectre, John, Blake, and Ison taking care of someone from Spectre, Sarah having to fight her way out of Next Gen and also her own team. Because that's the thing. This mission is unusually careless, Sarah said. She has a team of 4. She has a team of 4 people from Spectre she doesn't know at watching her every move. She has these Next Gen people that could screw her over, that could get her in a deep shit. I think the next fights that we're going to see are very close. And I'm going to be honest. I think that they are going to make John versus the Rowden Royals look like abysmal trash. They could not. They could also not. They could be short fights. They could be less impressive fights. But I think it's going to be something big. With that being said, without a doubt, this is a 10 out of 10 chapter. Absolutely. With the information that we were given, with the stuff we've seen, like I said, the first time I read this, I brushed a lot of things off, but rereading it, I can just see how many things Uru put in place for the reveal at the end. So yeah, 10 out of 10 chapter, honestly. I was skeptical about this chapter at first. I definitely thought it was good, but rereading it multiple times, I was like, no, this isn't just good. This is fantastic. This is great writing right here. But yeah, that's it for today. That's it for this discussion and review. We get the next chapter tonight. So I hope to see you guys there. Because this one is gonna be even crazier. I can feel it. Holy shit, things are gonna heat up real quick. So let me know what you guys thought down below in the comments of this chapter. Go ahead and give the chapter your rating, however you felt it was. Give Uru a thank you. Check out the links down below. Be sure to come back here later tonight for the reaction to episode 256. And yeah, guys. Man, things are getting crazy. With all that being said, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I will see you next time. So, see you, Space Cowboy.